Let me guess, you are a soldier or airman and just came down on military orders and started searching on YouTube for what should I know about Fairbanks, Alaska before I get stationed there. Well, welcome to my channel. I'm Nick Williams, the Alaskan Realtor, and today it's all about you, our service members, and trying to get you guys prepared for Alaska. Now, most of you are probably not from here. You're from the lower 48. We don't have a lot of soldiers born and raised in this tiny state of less than 1 million people. There are lots of things we need to go ahead and debunk and myths that we need to bust right off the bat. So let's dig into some fun facts before we get into the nitty-gritty that you actually clicked on this video for. First off, we do have more bears than human beings here, okay? Anchorage is our largest city. It's about 6 hours away if you're driving. It's only about an hour's plane ride away, but about 3/4 of the entire state lives in the Anchorage, Wasilla, Palmer area. Everybody else is up here with us or spread out throughout villages and small towns all around the state. So while we are 33% of the entire lower 48 size-wise, population, we are even smaller than probably Wyoming at this point. So what do you need to know being a service member getting stationed up here? This is the hidden secret duty station that you've always dreamed of if you're an outdoorsman. Now, before we dig into the wonderful perks of being in Alaska, I do want to go ahead and say I'm sorry to those young people that want to go party and have a great time, because this is probably not the right duty station. You're going to want to go to Fort Campbell and party in Nashville, or somewhere that's closer to a bigger city, something like that. But we do have bars and entertainment here. We do have a concert and comedy club circuit that kind of brings some lower 48 talent from time to time. And like I said, it's only an hour flight down to Anchorage if you do want to see some of their slightly larger artists. In reality, if you want to see real concerts and go to those types of events, you're going to be flying 4 hours to Seattle. And the great news about that is they got a football team, a hockey team, maybe an NBA team soon, I don't even know. So more and more is coming down to the Seattle area, but again, this video is about Fairbanks, so let's get back on track. PCSing up here is one of the most difficult things you're gonna do, and that is for a number of reasons, but number one is logistics. It is a long drive, an inconvenient flight, or a really long boat ride to get up here. But those are your options. So depending on where in the United States you're coming from and what your previous duty station is, it's all gonna look a little bit different. So I'm gonna give you 3 scenarios, and these are just gonna be typical examples. Please adapt them to your situation however you see fit. So first off, if you're stationed in Hawaii, Japan, or South Korea, you are going to probably fly straight to Alaska. So military is going to take care of shipping probably one of your vehicles. They're talking about allowing you to ship 2 here soon, but that's not until they basically set up that HRC style PCS command, which I think is slotted for this year, but with us dropping bombs on Iran, things like that I'm sure are going to be delayed just a little bit. Next up is gonna be if you are stationed on the West Coast somewhere, all the way down to Texas. Now here you have options. And in fact, this is for everybody that is currently stationed in the continental United States. You have the option of crossing the border in Montana and getting up into the Calgary area before you can split off through Banff and Jasper and go see some natural parks and have a slightly shorter drive, or go up through Edmonton and do some shopping at North America's largest mall. Either way, those 2 roads reconnect at the beginning of the Alcan Highway in Dawson City, and then you're gonna drive through some of the most beautiful wilderness and some of the most isolating wilderness you've ever seen. So make sure you have an emergency kit, make sure you have a day's worth of food and some warm clothes just in case you break down and get stuck. Also, if you're driving up in the winter, make sure you have a few extra gas cans, and my number 1 tip, stop at every single gas station and just fill up your tank. This is just in case there is some outages on those gas stations along the way, and you don't want to miss one and then not be able to make it to the next one. So 5, 10 gallons, maybe 15 gallons worth of portable gasoline will definitely make sure you get to the next gas station. That being said, there are plenty of gas stations. I've just heard lots of horror stories. I personally drove up here in 2016. I went through Jasper and Banff National Park and then hit the Alcan Highway, and there were plenty of gas stations, but it was summertime for me, so please make sure you're prepared for winter conditions. Next up is make sure you drive slow. A lot of that road is going to be under construction in the summer and covered in snow in the winter. So if you're not from an area where you're used to driving in the snow, take your time. Every time you rush, you're just playing fate and seeing if it's your time or not. I want you to get up here safely, and we welcome you into our community, so please take your time and be safe. The last scenario that less people take, but I've heard less people regret and more people enjoy, is the ferry. You're gonna drive west to Tacoma, and then the port of Tacoma, you're gonna hop on a ferry, and it's gonna be a multiple day boat ride all the way up here to Alaska. You're gonna make some stops in some different ports. Think of it like, I hate saying ghetto cruise, but essentially that's what it is. It's a ferry, so it's gonna be less posh and polished and vacation like those cruises are. It's going to be more like a transportation ship with very limited amenities. That being said, it's still more comfortable to get out and stretch your legs. My suggestion here, if I can kind of tailor these adventures to you, is if you have animals, take the road. If it's just you and some kids, take the ferry. And if you really want to do it the right way, and this is probably the most common way, the wife and kids fly up here after the husband has driven up here with all their stuff. So pick your own adventure, but that is how you're going to get from your duty station to your new duty station up here at either Fort Wainwright or Eielson Air Force Base. To tell you more about the area, you are going to get COLA. That's your cost of living adjustment. If you live off base, you are gonna get BAH and BAS, which is your subsistence and housing allowances. And overall, those really cover most of your living expenses here without diving into, your base pay. That being said too, I also think that BAH needs to be adjusted again. It feels a little bit low due to the housing market, but I hear that at every duty station, every base complains that the rents are more than BAH. What I've been told by HRC is, it's housing allowance, it's not housing support. So you're not on rent relief, you are just getting some allowance towards housing. Sucks. Back in the day when I first got in the Army, BAH was set by the market rent for your age and class and time in service and stuff like that. So things have changed. Sorry about that. Moving on, there is, if you're in the Army here, and I'm not sure about the Air Force, but there's kind of like a incentive to coming up here. It's about $2,000. The idea is to ease the burden on buying all that cold weather gear and heating oil and other stuff that you need to buy when you first get up here and get situated. Also maybe cover some of that Airbnb or hotel time while you're either finding a place to rent or buying a house. If you're looking for a place to rent, my suggestion is get started very early, and when you find a unit that works for you, go ahead and lock in that lease. If you know you're coming here and you have orders and you finished EFMP. That is because orders change, and EFMP has ruined lives here in Alaska as far as coming, buying houses, and moving. So do your due diligence first, but rental properties are becoming harder and harder to find. On base, there's still plenty of availability from what I'm being told from the housing departments. The issue there is you're not going to get all of your bonuses and incentive pays, and you're living on base. So you're not going to be experiencing Alaska, you're not going to get to know the locals, and you're going to get very comfortable in your little fobbit. And basically what you're gonna do is stay on base because that's where your grocery store is, that's where your work is, that's where your friends are, that's where your school is, that's where your child support is, and you're never really gonna leave that small community. I hear it time and time again when people live here for 3 years on base and then leave and have some regrets that they didn't enjoy the wilderness as much as they could. Lastly, and we'll make this one super simple, if you are in the military and you're thinking about buying a house, give me a call. I'm here to make your life as easy as possible. I will do virtual tours, video tours. I have YouTube videos for pretty much any house that you want to see on the market. And if I don't, I'll go create it. I will custom tailor your experience, and I will hold your hand from beginning to end because I was a soldier myself that came up here and bought a house and didn't know where to start. Fast forward 11 years later, I'm trying to fix the problems that I experienced when I first moved up here for you, and hopefully can help you and your family find a home. That being said, let's kind of wrap everything else up here because I'm kind of reaching the end, and I hope you guys are still sticking with me. So other things you need to know about Alaska if you're in the military. The operational tempo of both the Air Force and Army base up here is pretty high. It's because they have all of the normal military operations they have to do, as well as their Pacific partnerships and tables like gunnery tables and live fires and such. The good thing is we have world-class training centers here between DTA and YTA. The Air Force here has has the largest shooting range out of any other place in the world. So this is our armed forces playground, if you want to think about it that way. We have airborne jumps, we have Arctic assaults, and many, many more operations that we do here all the time. So it's a really cool place to live and train if you really love your job in the Army. Additionally, I want to go ahead and tell you guys that -50 is not a constant. We talk about it here like it's a continuous thing. This year was a little bit of a fluke where we had -50 for 3 weeks, but prior to this year, keep in mind I've been here for 11 years now, we've only seen -40 like once or twice. It kind of peaks there and then goes away. Our average temperature in the winter is between 0 and -15. In the summertime, it's about 80 degrees. We do not have air conditioning here except for a very few houses that are on the higher end of budgets, and most people use portable air conditioners for those 2 weeks in July where it gets up into the mid-80s. Other than that, opening up a window or turning on a ceiling fan is enough to kind of cool you down, but our summers are absolutely perfect. It is a mild, warm summer, very little rain, lots of sun since the sun does not set here in the summertime. But I want you to go and burn yourself out all summer long because winter is a little bit more of a hibernation / Netflix and chill kind of environment. So cabin fever is a thing, it's a real thing here. So SADS, seasonal affective disorder. So make sure you're prepared for those kinds of things. Really strengthen your mental health before you get up here, but also find hobbies and friends to go do things with. The people that I know that are social and active absolutely love Alaska. Those that isolate and stay at home do leave here slightly miserable after a 3-year period. If you're looking to rent a house and you have pets, good luck. Those people usually wind up calling me to buy a house. And if you are buying a house, keep in mind we want you to keep that house for 3 full years to be as profitable as possible when you sell your home. At the 2-year mark, you're kind of at your break-even point. So if you're thinking about living on base for a year and then moving out into the economy, you can definitely do that, but maybe you want to keep that house as a rental for 1/3 year after you leave. And then that way you can maximize your profits. 3 years is the point in time where you really start making money on buying a property here in Fairbanks, Alaska. That being said, I know I didn't cover everything in this video. I'm trying to keep them less than 10 minutes long. In the comments below, go ahead and ask me any questions about your military PCS and I'll answer them directly, honestly, and try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for staying with me this long and have a great day.